Hey YouTube, I'm Mars1952 and today I'm going to be installing the diesel driven performance Over-boost Annihilator, and that's what this little gizmo is here. Basically it's a pressure regulator. It goes before your MAP sensor, manifold absolute pressure sensor, and tells it that the manifold absolute pressure never exceeds 22 psi. That'll eliminate your overboost codes and defueling. Now I believe I have experienced a couple defuelings in the various testings I've done, but typically my boost doesn't get above 21 unless I'm going flat out at 3,000 RPMs, going 75 or 80 miles an hour, pushing a lot of wind or going uphill. But I'm planning on putting on a Garrett ball bearing turbocharger, which will give me 40 psi with other modifications. So this installation is pretty simple. It comes pre-adjusted to 22 psi, and they warn you on here, don't mess with it unless you're willing to do a lot of fiddling to get it back to where you need it to be. It has a click adjustment in it, and you can feel a click, and they say adjust it just one click at a time, up or down. Unless you have some kind of a pressure gauge and pressure device that's accurate before you can put this in. Anyway, it's supposed to be a 22 psi. That should work for everybody. It mounts in pretty simple, and let me get the camera up here and show you what we're going to do. Alright, I think you can see what's going on. Alright, so the first thing to do is to take out your hose from the nipple that comes out of the manifold. Actually it comes out of the spider or Y pipe, some people call it an X pipe, and disconnect it from over here. I've already loosened this spring. This spring's a little harder to get to. It's got a spring clip on it. It's always the trickiest part, just getting the pliers on there. It doesn't take much force. Okay, so that's spring's loosed. Let's get that out of there. Trying to put a little leverage on the hose to help get it off. Now you need to salvage these spring clips to use on your new gizmo. You can see I've got a boost line in here. I'm going to use this opportunity to replace it with a nice silicone boost line with a more attractive T. Alright, so this comes off over here. Alright, so that's it. So there's the contraption I rigged up to put my boost pressure gauge in there. I have to pause it a second. So before you put the thing in, just loosen these screws. You don't have to take them out, just loosen them enough that this thing will slide in there. And it shows the arrow showing the direction of the boost pressure. So this side goes to the sensor, this side goes to the manifold. So I'm just going to slip that in there just so I can get a length. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this tubing long enough that I can, sort of interfering with my methanol injection there. I'm going to make the tubing long enough so that I can just eliminate my boost T if I want to. We'll see how that works. So I'm going to cut it right there. We measure twice. I'll slip it through this so I'm getting an actual distance. And right here is where I need to be. Well, darn it. Alright, so I'm going to cut it off right there. I'll measure that for you. You can see, got a block of wood and a utility knife. Just cut that right off. Alright, so now I'll put a clamp on here. Slip my boost gauge in there. This T is a 1/4 inch T. The line that they supplied with the device is a 1/4 inch line. Shoot, it was easier to get the boost line on than this. The boost line is only 3/16. Have to get them on all the way. That's going to actually be enough, but I want to get it on there the rest of the way. Alright, so that's on there. I'll tighten it down. Might cut away some of this, you don't really need all this footage. That's on there so tight that I doubt under most circumstances we're going to have any pressure problems. But better safe than sorry. Alright, so I cut a very short piece here. I'm going to put this on the end, and that'll connect to the manifold, and of course my boost line can come out. Cut this away. Alright, so I have the boost line teed in. I'm going to put this little clamp on the head. Slide that on there. Slide this on. Goes on quite a bit easier than that T. I'll slip the clamp around. Can't quite get to it. Alright. Goes in here. Now if I didn't have that extra length in there for the T, you wouldn't get this funny wiggle in there, but it looks okay. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that down. Then we'll slip on fitting on the bottom and we'll be done. Alright, now this loop takes more hose than you would imagine. I think in the instructions they say cut it 10 inches. So this nipple that comes out here comes straight down. Leave a little extra, actually it wouldn't hurt anything. I'm going to cut it right there. Trusty block of wood. And save yourself a little headache, remember to put your little spring clip on before you try to slide the hose on, because otherwise you'll just have to take the hose off. Spring clip. I'm going to try to position the spring clip so I can get to it from the side here. Spring clamp, I guess would be a better term. So I've got all this other hardware on here that gets in the way. That actually probably is a little too long. Better too long than too short. But I've got to cut off some. Take off an inch and see what happens. Wait for this car to go by. Okay. Alright, so I cut off an inch. Since that fits a little bit better. It's still a little ugly. It'll be okay though. Move the clamp. And we're done. I get these in there. It's never easy. Okay, the clamp is finally on. This thing's screwed down tight, hooked into the manifold. I just have to run my new hose from my boost gauge.